Greetings, YouTubers. I'm OdinZeusMrPace, and on today's episode of Exhibeo, we're going to talk about what it means to be humble. Now, a disclaimer before we start this episode: this is more engineered towards Christian viewers, so if you're offended by Christianity, I advise you to go. But if you would like to learn what the proper teachings of Christianity and the meaning of humble are supposed to be like, then I advise you to stay. So the first thing we're going to do is define the word humble. Now, according to the World Book Dictionary, humble as a noun means 1. To lower in position or condition, not grand; 2. Modest in spirit, not proud; or 3. Deeply or courteously respectful. As a verb, it means 1. To make humble or meek; to lower in pride of; to humiliate; 2. To make lower in position, condition, or importance. Meek means patience and mild in disposition, without pride or proud spirit; to submit and be tamed to abuse. Now, humility means the state or act of being humble, the lack of pride, or to be full of meekness. To humiliate is to lower in pride, dignity, or self-respect, the state of being humble. So now that we know what humble means, I'm going to read this memoir, what do you want to call it, a writing of mine. It's on Facebook somewhere, and I'll probably post it to the channel page. But I'm going to be reading it, and after I finish reading it, I'm going to try to explain what it means and give some examples of how you can apply this to your day-to-day life. So here we go. To be humble is to be respectful of all beings around you, and to be or self-respect and not arrogance. To show dignity and the amount of respect you present others with. To be meek. These are the characteristics of a humble man or woman. Isaiah, the 5th chapter, and the 15th verse, says, "Mighty is the humble man." It means a man who can hold his own integrity without pride and disdainful self-respect and or self-loathing to the point of arrogance or narcissism, is held in higher prestige than all the peoples within the earth and all therein. For a humble person is one that extends his hand to the needed without the gain of something. A humble being is one who can serve with respect and not loathing of who they serve. God teaches us humility through trials and tribulations. A trial is nothing more than a test. A tribulation is the act of going through a test or great distress. To put it into an example, it is as the lump of coal which wants to become a diamond. In order for that lump of coal to become a diamond, it has to be pressed and squeezed into the beauty of a diamond. In other words, the lump of coal must be tested and work its way through a time of great hardship to come out polished and beautiful as a diamond. Remember, the race is not won by the strong nor the swift, but to he that endures to the end. Trials and tribulations help us to grow and teach us how to be humble before God and our fellow men. In order to grow in spirit, you must understand the words in which you use and in what sense they mean. And when you pray, pray not for possession or blessings, but for the understanding of God, and to be made humble, and the blessings will follow. Now, that's the memoir. Now, this is what it means. Now, I gave an example within the memoir that talks about a lump of coal being tempered and tested to become a beautiful diamond. So, humility doesn't mean, well, if you go up to the top here and we look at the example and the definition of what it means to be meek, and meek tells you to be patient and mild in disposition, without pride or proud spirit, to submit and be tamed to abuse. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be submissive to abusive people. What it means is to be tamed, and you can probably go find this in the dictionary, but to be tamed is, well, basically to be mild-mannered and to be patient to it. Now, you can take that into the account for scripture. It says to turn the other cheek. Now, turn the other cheek doesn't mean to sit there and let people bawl on you. What that means is, if you have the opportunity and the ability to diffuse a situation by simply moving away, then you should take that opportunity. Now, in self-defense, it means if you are forced into a conflict which you cannot avoid, the best method for you to use is a method of detainment, or let's say in some martial arts practices, particularly those of jiu-jitsu and aikido, you use a lot of locks. If you can do something like a lock, or in American terms, a cross armbar, or just a reverse armbar takedown, that way you can prevent injury and detain the person that's abusing you until you can get help. Also, it's a good way to prevent an issue because if you just use the stepping method, you can allow them to burn their momentum out without ever having to strike someone. Also, to be humble, as I was talking about, to be humble isn't about going around and just tearing people down. It's about how you present yourself. If you present yourself as a humble person, you present yourself as a patient person, a mild-mannered person, someone who is modest, but and knows his surroundings and knows how to show respect, but is not so humble in their sense that they can be easily abused and easily manipulated. To be humble means you have to be able to know about your surroundings and know who you are inside and out, and know how to respect the people around you regardless of whether or not they agree with your beliefs or not. So in this way, we can make a society that is much easier to understand and much better for us to come together as a whole, as a people. Because if you have the believers in God going out there attacking the atheists, and the atheists on the other side of the spectrum are attacking the believers in God, then there's no humility coming here together, and no one's turning the other cheek. But no one's taking the time to actually educate the other on anything. And this is just me trying to put a little bit of clarity into a sense here. These are the standards of how a good Christian man or woman should present themselves, is to be humble before the presence of others, and to be humble before the presence of God. And if you're going through hard times, it's just another part of life. And if you haven't gone through anything yet, there's a saying that if you haven't gone through anything, just keep living, and it'll come to you eventually. And these trials and tests and tribulations are meant to build your character, and determine on the way that you present yourself and push yourself through it determines whether or not you're going to grow into a better person, or if you're going to be stuck in this situation. And on my end note here, at the end of this memoir, I said when you pray not for blessings and possessions, but pray for the understanding of God, and to be humble. And what that means, if you go in the Bible somewhere, there's a Jabez prayer, Jabeze. You can Google it and you might find it. Now, he only prayed for was to be blessed. He didn't pray for any type of possession, but just to be blessed. And because of that, he was rewarded a larger estate than he had ever dreamed of. And the point I'm trying to get to with this is, Don't try to limit your blessings to just a personal need that you want, because the thing that you may want may not be something that's necessarily good for you. The things that you need are the things that you aren't praying for. So if you pray for the understanding of God and how to understand His Word, it may make you more able to be humbled. And because you are able to understand what you're reading, because a lot of people can read this Bible and go in there and pick things, but unless you can actually comprehend it and know what it actually talks about, you'll just run circles around it and try to find ways to contradict it. And really, once you begin to understand it, you'll realize that these loopholes and these contradictions are all taken care of within the Bible, because it's all explained. And that's another thing you have to realize, but we'll get into that in an entirely different story, an entirely different video somewhere down the line. But as I was saying, pray not for possessions or blessings, but for the understanding of God and how to be more humble. Because these things are going to help you get the blessings that you need, not the blessings that you want. Because trust me, those who are humble, and as I said in here, those who are humble are placed with more prestige among all the peoples of the world. And those who are humble have more blessings, because those who are humbled are more that's not a very good grammar here, but those who are humbled are more happy in the things that they have. They're happier in the life that they live. They're happier in what they are able to give to people. And you can see that in a lot of people that are truly humble, because they're willing to give things that they don't have. People who are willing to give funds that they know they can't afford to give to other people. And when you are able to give to someone else without reciprocating, then you can show that you are becoming more and more humbled as a person. But it also means that you have to be more respectful of the people around you and more respectful of yourself. And when you can really begin to respect yourself for who you are, then you can become more humble and not disdainful towards others or take offense to what other people say about you, because people have been talking about people since the creation of man. And it's not going to change anytime soon. As a matter of fact, people are going to be talking about people until the end of time. But when you can have a standard of self-respect and humility, then anything someone says about you is going to be ineffective, because you know deep inside of you who you are. That's all I have to say for this video. And if you like what I'm talking about, I would like you to like, share, and subscribe, or follow us on our website and our Facebook page. And we will see you next time with ATB giving a review on, I believe he's doing something about computer speed, but you'll find out on the video that he does.